Welcome to Heartbreak Chronicles. Some secrets are like bombs buried in the ground that will one day explode at the most inadvertent moment and blow the whole world to smithereens. For Nathan, the bomb was detonated at his daughter's wedding. The wedding venue was decorated like a dream, with white flowers and gold ribbons sparkling in the warm California sun. As a successful building contractor, Nathan would have been proud of the grand wedding that cost nearly $1 million. His daughter Emily, dressed in a $20,000 wedding dress, is about to exchange vows with her fiancé in an elaborate garden. However, Nathan's world begins to fall apart as he stands at the back of the guest gallery and watches the scene unfold before him. His three kids, are surrounding his best friend Mike with the intimacy of flying moths on fire. 25-year-old Emily, 23-year-old Connor, and 21-year-old Sophia had that innocent smile on their faces that you only show when you're dealing with a real father. What made Nathan's heart stop beating was that his wife, Rachel, also approached Mike and gave him a light kiss on the cheek. It was a kiss full of deep emotion, never the polite touch of an ordinary friend. "Uncle Mike, thank you for paying for my wedding." Emily's voice came through loud and clear to Nathan's ears. "You're supposed to be our real father. That's what you're supposed to do." Nathan felt his legs suddenly lose their strength. The world spun before his eyes, the beautiful flowers and golden decorations becoming a blur. He grabbed a nearby pillar to support himself and tried to digest what he had just heard. Real father? When Nathan and Rachel married 26 years ago, they were both only 24 years old. At the time, Nathan was just starting his own construction company, and Rachel was a nurse. Mike, on the other hand, is Nathan's best friend from college, an investment banker from a wealthy family. Nathan remembers how much he trusted Mike, even inviting Mike to be the baby's godfather when Rachel was pregnant with Emily. Even more ironically, Nathan remembered a detail he'd always thought was irrelevant. Shortly after Rachel became pregnant with Connor, the doctor recommended that Nathan have a vasectomy, as they both agreed that 2 children were enough. The surgery was a success, or so Nathan thought. But soon after, Rachel got pregnant again with Sophia. Doctors explained that although rare, vasectomies do have the potential to fail. Nathan jokingly told Mike that his swimmers were so strong that even surgery couldn't stop them. Mike was laughing especially hard, and now Nathan finally understood why. Nathan's cell phone vibrated in his pocket, interrupting his memories. He mechanically pulled out his cell phone and saw it was a text message from Emily. "Daddy, where are you? The wedding will start soon." "Dad." The word sounds so foreign and false now. Nathan took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. He needed confirmation of what he had heard, more evidence. So he quietly approached the small group and pretended to be checking out the decorations at the wedding site. "I really appreciate everything you've done for this wedding, Mike." Rachel was speaking. Her voice held a gentleness that Nathan had never heard before. "You know, Nathan has been very busy with work lately, and if it wasn't for you—" "Don't say that, Rachel," Mike interrupted. "Emily is my daughter, and it's my responsibility to pay for her wedding. Nathan has done a lot for the kids over the years, but now it's my turn." Nathan felt a wave of nausea rise up his throat. He turned toward the restroom, needing a quiet place to process everything he had just heard. In front of the bathroom mirror, he saw the face of a stranger, pale, shocked, angry, with vengeance burning in his eyes. 25 years. A whole 25 years of lies. Nathan remembered all the clues, the signs he'd ignored or misunderstood at the time. Mike was always extra nice to the kids and always showed up for the big moments. When Emily needed a loan for college tuition, Mike offered to take it out. It was also Mike's generosity when Connor wanted to buy his first car. Nathan was grateful for the generosity of his best friend at the time, but now realizes that Mike was just doing his job as a father. What angers Nathan even more is the realization that he's been treated like a fool. Not only Rachel and Mike, but even the kids apparently know the truth. What Emily just said proves it. "You were supposed to be our real father." It wasn't a sudden revelation, but a fact that they all knew, and only Nathan was kept in the dark. Nathan took out his cell phone, opened his address book, and found his lawyer's phone number. David Martinez is one of the best divorce attorneys in California and a longtime client of Nathan. They had worked together on several construction projects, and Nathan knew David was someone he could trust. "David, it's me, Nathan." Nathan's voice sounded calm, but it was the calm before the storm. I need your help. Nathan, what's wrong? Isn't today Emily's wedding? It is because of this wedding that I need your help. Nathan explained the situation simply. I need to know my options. David was silent for a few seconds, then said, Nathan, if what you're saying is true, then you have a lot of options. But first, you need proof. What should I do? DNA testing is the most direct method. But until then, you need to make a tough decision. Do you act now, or wait until you have hard evidence? Nathan looked at his watch. The wedding will begin in 30 minutes. Outside, hundreds of guests were taking their seats, waiting to witness the most important moment in his daughter's life. The photographer is busy working to make sure every moment is perfectly captured, but it's all based on a lie. I'm moving now. Nathan was adamant. I can't let this charade continue. After hanging up, Nathan walked out of the restroom and headed towards the wedding site. His steps were firm and strong, like a soldier about to go on a mission. The guests are in their seats, the pastor is in place, and the music is about to begin. Nathan walked over to the sound console, where the technicians were making final adjustments. Lend me the microphone, Nathan said. The technician recognized him and didn't hesitate to hand him a wireless microphone. Nathan walked to the center of the wedding scene and hit the switch on the microphone. Suddenly, all conversation stopped and hundreds of eyes turned to him. Friends, Nathan's voice carried through the sound system. Thank you all for being here today. But I have an important announcement to make. He saw the look of confusion on Rachel's face, the flicker of panic in Mike's eyes, the questions on the kids' faces. This wedding is canceled, Nathan announced, his voice calm and firm. I've just discovered some facts that make it impossible for me to continue this celebration based on lies. The scene erupted into murmurs of surprise. The guests looked at each other in disbelief, wondering what was happening. Emily, Connor, Sophia. Nathan looked directly at his 3 children. You know the truth, don't you? You know who your real father is. Emily's face instantly turned pale. Connor tries to stand up and say something, but Nathan holds his hand up to stop him. Mike, my old friend, Nathan turned to Mike. Do you want to say something? About your relationship with my wife? About the children you've been raising all these years? Mike opened his mouth to explain, but no sound came out. Fear and guilt were written all over his face. Nathan, what are you talking about? Rachel finally spoke, but her voice trembled. Are you crazy? Crazy. Nathan laughed, a laugh that had no warmth to it. Maybe I am indeed crazy. Crazy enough to believe a lie for 25 years. Crazy enough to give my youth and money for children that don't belong to me. Crazy enough to consider the person who betrayed me my best friend. He looked around the room and saw the shock and confusion on the faces of the guests. These included his employees, clients, friends, and Rachel and Mike's friends and family. Mike paid for this $1 million wedding, Nathan continued. And now I understand why. It's normal for a father to pay for his daughter's wedding, isn't it? Emily burst into tears as her fiancé, Jason, stood beside her, clearly shocked by the sudden revelation as well. Connor stands up and tries to walk towards Nathan. Nathan, can we talk in private? Connor said, there are so many people here. In private. Nathan's voice rose. You've kept this from me for 25 years, and now you want to talk privately? No, Connor, or should I say, Mike's son. It's time to go public with the truth. Nathan saw that Rachel was trying to come toward him, but he took a few steps back. Stay back, Rachel. 25 years of marriage, 25 years of lies. Do you think I'm going to believe anything you say? Nathan, please, Rachel said with tears in her eyes. Let's find a place to talk. Talk about what? Talk about when you first became involved with Mike? Talking about how you convinced me those kids were mine? Talking about how you're laughing at a fool like me with Mike? Nathan's words were sharp as knives, severing the last link between them. As of today, Nathan announced, I am initiating divorce proceedings. I will also amend my will to remove from the succession list all those who are not of my bloodline. He placed the microphone on the ground and turned toward the parking lot. Behind them came a variety of voices, crying, arguing, confused inquiries. But Nathan didn't look back. In his Mercedes SUV, Nathan started the engine. He took one last look at the place that had once been the site of his daughter's dream wedding, but was now the scene of the greatest humiliation of his life. His cell phone was ringing frantically, but he didn't answer it. Instead, he drove away from the wedding. leaving a trail of confusion and shock. On the drive, Nathan's thoughts began to organize. Anger still burned in his chest, but now there was a clear goal: revenge. Not a violent revenge, but a more precise and destructive one. He's going to make the people who betrayed him pay the price they deserve, and he's going to show them the consequences of cheating on Nathan Caldwell. Instead of going home, Nathan drove straight to his office downtown. As the owner of Caldwell Construction, he owns the entire 12th floor of the 15-story building. It was Saturday, and the building was quiet, just enough to give him room to think and plan. In his private office, Nathan opens the safe and removes important documents: marriage certificates, real estate certificates, certificates of company shares, bank account information, investment portfolios, and his will. These documents represented the wealth and accomplishments he had accumulated over 2 decades, and now he needed to revisit it all. Nathan's firm has a significant presence in Southern California with annual revenues in excess of $50 million. He owns 3 properties: a primary residence valued at $2.8 million, a vacation home on the beach, and a commercial real estate portfolio. His personal net worth is over $12 million, which is quite substantial for his age of 50. But now it all needs to be redistributed. Nathan's cell phone rings again. This time it's attorney David calling back. "Nathan, I heard about what happened at the wedding." David's voice was serious and professional. "Are you sure you want to do this?" "I've never been so sure of anything," Nathan replied. "I need you to start preparing divorce papers immediately. I'm going to make sure Rachel doesn't get a dime." "Nathan, California is a community property state, which means—" "I know the law, David. But what about fraud? Would things be different if it could be proven that the entire marriage was based on fraud?" David was silent for a moment. "If you can prove that Rachel concealed the true paternity of the children and that this fraudulent behavior influenced your financial decisions, it could indeed change the outcome of the property division. But you need hard evidence." "I'll get proof. I still need you to help me change my will." "Nathan, I understand that you're angry right now, but—" "David," Nathan interrupted, "it's not just anger. It's justice. For 25 years, I have provided housing, education, health insurance, and paid countless expenses for children who are not mine. I was systematically lied to and taken advantage of. It's time to right that wrong." Nathan asked David to start working immediately, even if it was on the weekend. As a client and friend of Nathan's for many years, David understood Nathan's determination and agreed to begin preparing the necessary legal documents immediately. After hanging up the phone, Nathan begins to formulate his plan for revenge. This will not be impulsive retaliation, but rather deliberate and systematic action. He pulled out a blank sheet of paper and began to list the steps that needed to be taken. First, he needs DNA evidence. Nathan remembers having samples of the children's hair in the house. Emily's hair was on her comb, as were Connor and Sophia. He'll also need a DNA sample from Mike, which will be more difficult, but not impossible. Second, he needs to gather more evidence about Rachel and Mike's relationship. They must have a record of their communications and probably other secrets. Third, he needs to protect his assets. Before divorce proceedings can begin, he needs to take legal steps to ensure that his wealth is not improperly divided. Fourth, he needs to start the social aspect of revenge. Letting everyone know about Rachel and Mike's betrayal makes them lose their standing and respect in the community. Fifth, he needs to be hit on an economic level. Mike's career must suffer and Rachel must lose the comfortable life she has been enjoying. Nathan spent 2 hours perfecting his plan, making sure that every step was legal, but at the same time devastating. He's going to make sure that the people who betrayed him realize that the price of deceiving Nathan Caldwell is more than they can afford. In the late afternoon, Nathan began to move. He first drove back home. The house is quiet and Rachel is obviously still dealing with the chaos of the wedding scene. Nathan moved quickly to collect the DNA samples he needed. Emily's comb has a few hairs on it, Connor's razor has hairs on it, and Sophia's bobby pins have the same hairs on them. He carefully kept these samples in separate labeled envelopes. Next, Nathan went to his and Rachel's bedroom. He knows that Rachel has a personal safe that may contain important documents or items. He remembered that Rachel had once inadvertently revealed the password Connor's birthday. When he opens the safe, he finds photos and letters he's never seen before. In the photos, Rachel and Mike look unusually close in various settings. One photo shows Rachel visibly pregnant and Mike's hand on her stomach. On the back of the photo, it says, "Waiting for Connor." In another photo, Mike looks like a proud father as he holds newborn Sophia. The letters are even more shocking. These are communications between Rachel and Mike spanning over 20 years. In an earlier letter, Mike wrote, "I know it's complicated, but I love you and I love our children. Nathan is a good man, but he'll never understand our relationship." Rachel's letter back similarly reveals the truth. "Sometimes I feel guilty, but you're right. Nathan will never understand. At least this way, the kids have a stable family and you can be involved in their lives as Uncle Mike does." There was another letter that particularly angered Nathan. That's what Rachel wrote to Mike when she was pregnant with Sophia. The doctor said Nathan's surgery was a success and he would never doubt it. "Our little girl is due soon and I can't wait to see her." Nathan is still joking about his super sperm. How would he react if he knew the truth? Nathan's hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the intensity of his anger. The letters proved his suspicions. This was no momentary mistake or impulsive derailment. This is an elaborate scam that has been going on for more than 2 decades. Worse, they mocked his ignorance. He took all the photos and letters and then put the originals back in the safe. Now he had the evidence he needed, but he knew it was only the beginning. Nathan's next step is to go to Mike's house. Mike lives in an upscale neighborhood just 15 minutes from Nathan's house. The choice itself is ironic. They live so close together, facilitating this long-standing deception. Nathan knew that Mike was usually home on weekends and was probably dealing with the aftermath of today's wedding. He needs a chance to get a sample of Mike's DNA. When Nathan arrives at Mike's house, he sees Mike's black BMW parked in the driveway. The lights were on in the house, but the curtains were drawn. Instead of knocking directly on the door, Nathan walked to the backyard. He knows Mike has a pool, and there is usually outdoor furniture around it. On a poolside table, Nathan finds what he's looking for: a coffee mug with leftover coffee in it, and a possible sample of Mike's saliva around the rim. Nathan carefully wrapped the cup in a handkerchief and placed it in his car. Just then, Nathan heard voices coming from the house. He cautiously approached the back door and saw through the crack in the glass door a scene that made him even angrier. Rachel was there, hugging Mike tightly. She's crying while Mike comforts her. "What do we do?" Rachel asked. "He knows everything. We should have told him the truth a long time ago." Mike replied, "Now things are getting complicated." "Complicated?" Rachel's voice rose. "Mike, our lives are fucked. Nathan will destroy us." "No, he won't," Mike said firmly. "Nathan is a rational man. Give him some time to calm down, and we can explain." "Explain what?" "Explain that we lied to him for 25 years. Explain that none of the children he raised were his. We can say it's for the good of the kids. Nathan loves them and is a father in their hearts no matter what the DNA says." "Do you think he'll accept that?" Rachel questioned. "Didn't you see the look on his face today? It was hate, pure and simple." "Then we must face the consequences." Mike says, "But at least we can be together, publicly. No more need to hide." Nathan has heard enough. He left Mike's house quietly, taking his coffee mug and newly acquired information with him. Now he knows that Rachel and Mike are continuing their relationship, even after today's disaster. What angers him even more is that they consider themselves victims and think Nathan will rationally accept it. Back at the office, Nathan contacted a private investigation firm. Blackstone Investigations is one of the best private investigation firms in Los Angeles specializing in matrimonial fraud cases. Nathan needs professionals to help him gather more evidence, especially information about Rachel and Mike's financial dealings. If Mike has been paying for the children's expenses, there should be bank records or other financial evidence. "Mr. Caldwell," said Sarah Chun, a senior investigator at Blackstone, by phone, "we understand your situation and we've handled a lot of these cases. We need you to provide us with basic information about all the people involved and the areas you would like us to focus our investigation on." Nathan described the situation to Sarah in detail and provided personal information about Rachel and Mike. Sarah explained that they can begin providing initial reports within 48 hours, including financial record analysis, communication pattern investigations, and social media activity monitoring. "One other thing, Mr. Caldwell," Sarah added. "Do you need us to investigate possible co-conspirators? Often in such long-term deception cases, there are other people with knowledge or involvement." Nathan remembered how the kids had reacted today. They all obviously know the truth, which means the secret has extended to more people. Yes, I need to know who else is involved in this scam. Over the next few days, Nathan planned his revenge strategy like a general. Sunday night, Nathan received a call from David's attorney. David has prepared preliminary divorce papers, as well as a new draft of his will. Nathan, I have to tell you that Rachel has contacted her own lawyer. David says she hired Margaret Foster, a very experienced divorce attorney. It's no surprise. Nathan replies, she needs the best help she can get because she's about to face a war. Nathan, I need to remind you that even with evidence of fraud, California law still favors a relatively equitable division of property. You may not be able to exclude Rachel completely. Then we need to make sure she gets as little as possible. Nathan was adamant. I'm also going to make sure that she suffers the maximum amount of pain and humiliation in the process. A new will prepared by David leaves all of Nathan's property to his brothers and nieces, completely excluding Rachel and the 3 children. While this will may be legally challenged, it sends a clear signal. Nathan no longer recognizes any family obligations outside of the blood relationship. On Monday, Nathan contacted the best DNA testing lab for an emergency. He provided samples of himself, his children, and Mike. The laboratory promises to provide results within 48 hours. At the same time, he begins the first wave of social vengeance. Nathan has a large social network of business partners, customers, community leaders, and friends. He began systematically contacting them, not to complain, but to clarify the situation. Nathan's first call was to the manager of Riverside Country Club. It's an upscale country club where Nathan and Rachel are members, as is Mike. Frank, it's Nathan Caldwell. Nathan said to the manager, I need to discuss my membership with you. Of course, Nathan. Is something wrong? I'm in the middle of a divorce, and it's complicated. I want to make sure that certain people don't use the club as a platform to harass me during this process. Nathan explained the basics, not in detail, but enough for Frank to understand the gravity of the situation. As a result, Rachel and Mike's activities at the club will be closely monitored, and any possible misbehavior will be reported to Nathan. Next, Nathan contacted the pastor of their church. St. Mark's Episcopal Church is a historic church where the Nathan family has been attending services for over 10 years. Father Williams, I need to talk to you about a very sensitive situation, Nathan said. In a conversation with his pastor, Nathan explains the betrayal he found and how it impacted his faith. Although the pastor attempted to offer forgiveness and reconciliation, Nathan made it clear that he was seeking justice, not forgiveness. I'm not here for forgiveness advice, Father Williams. Nathan said, I have come to inform you that I will no longer be worshiping in the same space as certain people. I hope the church understands and honors that. Father Williams, though embarrassed, understands Nathan's position. The practical result is that the local religious community soon learns of the scandal, and Rachel and Mike's position in the church becomes extremely embarrassing. Nathan also contacted the alumni associations of the schools the children attended. Emily is a USC grad, Connor attended UCLA, and Sophia is at Stanford. Nathan has been a generous donor to these schools for many years, and his speeches have a great deal of influence in the alumni community. In a phone call with the USC alumni director, Nathan explained that he needed to reevaluate his giving strategy because of a significant change in personal circumstances. Though he didn't elaborate, word quickly spread, and people began asking what happened to Nathan's family. Tuesday night, the DNA test results came back. As Nathan expected, the results confirmed his worst fears. Emily, Connor, and Sophia are not his biological children, and Mike is indeed their father. The report shows that the probability of paternity is 99%, which is undisputed evidence in a court of law. Taking these results, Nathan felt a strange sense of relief. At least now that the truth was out, he no longer had to question his judgment or doubt his memory. On Wednesday, private investigator Sarah Chun brought the first report. Bank records show that Mike has paid large sums of money to various children-related expenses over the past 20 years. College tuition, car loans, vacation expenses, and even some medical bills were paid by Mike. What's more, investigators discover a secret bank account that Rachel and Mike share, containing over $500,000. The account was opened 3 years ago, Sarah explains, with regular monthly deposits from Mike and withdrawal privileges for Rachel. It looks like they've been preparing for some future situation. Even more shocking are the communication records. Although the investigator was unable to obtain specifics, she found that the frequency of phone calls and text messages between Rachel and Mike far exceeded that of normal friends. Over the past year, they've been talking on the phone an average of 3 times a day and exchanging over 50 text messages. One more thing, Mr. Caldwell, Sarah continued. We've noticed that your son Mike's son Connor, has been searching for information about DNA testing and paternity quite frequently lately. It suggests they may have anticipated today. This discovery made Nathan even angrier. Not only had they deceived him for a long time, they had been preparing for the day of exposure. This means that the accident at the wedding may not have been an accident at all, but a deliberate revelation. Nathan begins to wonder if they let him hear those words on purpose, maybe because it's becoming too difficult to maintain the lie, or because they want to be open about their relationship. In any case, this possibility makes Nathan's plan for revenge all the more urgent and severe. On Thursday, Nathan took more direct action. He placed an advertisement in the community section of the Los Angeles Times, the largest newspaper in the area, with the headline, "Public Apology and Statement." The content of the advertisement has been carefully designed to convey the necessary information while maintaining a degree of dignity. I, Nathan Caldwell, would like to apologize to all the guests who attended my daughter Emily's scheduled wedding for the chaos that occurred on Saturday. In the meantime, I want to clarify some facts. As confirmed by DNA testing, I discovered that my wife, Rachel Caldwell, had been in an inappropriate relationship with my friend Mike Davidson throughout our 25-year marriage, and that the 3 children I had been raising were actually their biological children. This discovery forced me to reevaluate my life and finances. I will address the situation through the appropriate legal channels and appreciate your understanding and support. I would also like to clarify that any rumors about my mental state or behavior are untrue. My decision was based on solid evidence and sober judgment. Nathan Caldwell, president of Caldwell Construction. The ad caused a stir in the local community. Nathan's firm has a high profile in the construction industry, and such public personal statements are extremely rare. Within 24 hours, the story became a local social media sensation. Nathan knows this will be extremely embarrassing for Rachel and Mike, but it's just the beginning. He wants to make sure this story is not forgotten or ignored. On Friday, Nathan began his war on the economy. As a successful businessman, Nathan knows that financial pressure is one of the most effective tools for revenge. He begins to systematically cut off all financial support that Rachel can rely on. First, he canceled all the credit cards in Rachel's name. Nathan, as the primary account holder, has the right to terminate all subsidiary accounts immediately. When Rachel tries to use her credit card to buy groceries, she finds that all cards are declined. Second, Nathan stopped paying for joint household expenses, electricity, water, gas, and telephone bills, as well as homeowners and automobile insurance, all of which were discontinued or transferred to a new address in Nathan's personal name. Third, Nathan contacted the bank and froze their joint account. While this may be legally challenged, it immediately cuts off Rachel's access to most of her liquidity. Nathan has also taken more astute economic measures. He discovered that Rachel had been using a company credit card for personal expenses, which, although small, technically constituted misappropriation of company funds. Nathan instructed the company's accounting department to conduct an audit of all expenditures for the past 3 years and was prepared to ask Rachel to reimburse him for all amounts for personal use. With Mike, Nathan employs a more indirect but equally devastating strategy. Nathan used his connections in the business community to start spreading the word about Mike's character issues. Instead of directly denigrating Mike, he simply shared the facts and let others draw their own conclusions. Nathan started by contacting a few key clients who were also potential or existing clients of Mike. "Bob, I'd like to share some information with you that may help you in your investment decisions." Nathan spoke to Bob Richardson, a key customer in the construction industry. "Of course, Nathan. What is it?" "I recently found out some information about Mike Davidson that I thought you should know. He has some issues with personal integrity that could affect his professional judgment." Nathan didn't elaborate, but he hinted that Mike might not be a business partner that could be trusted. In an industry based on relationships and trust, that implication can be deadly. Nathan also contacted several companies where Mike might be seeking employment. In the financial industry, background checks are standard procedure, and Nathan ensures that when these firms conduct informal investigations, they hear worrisome information. Nathan's strategy is not to lie or slander, but to make sure that the truth is widely known and to let people judge for themselves what such behavior means for Mike's professional reliability. On Saturday, Nathan received an unexpected phone call. Emily tried to contact him. "Dad, please, we need to talk." Emily's voice was filled with tears. "Emily, I don't think we have anything to talk about." Nathan replied calmly. "You have a father. His name is Mike Davidson. Dad, I know you're in pain, but we still love you. DNA can't change all the years we spent together. DNA cannot change the years, but it reveals the true nature of those years." Nathan said, "You all know the truth. You all participated in this scam. Now you must suffer the consequences. We never wanted to hurt you. You guys are just what? Just think I'm too stupid to ever find out the truth? Just think I'll ever be content to be a duped fool? No, it isn't. We were worried that if you found out, you'd leave us. You guys are right, I do leave. But you gave me a choice, and you chose to cheat. Now you must face the consequences of that choice." Nathan hung up. He didn't feel guilt or regret. Rather, he felt a strengthening of resolve. If they really loved him, if they really respected him, they would have told him the truth a long time ago. On Sunday, Nathan went to church, but not to seek forgiveness or solace. He went there as a public display of his dignity and determination. When Rachel and Mike try to attend the same service, they find themselves the center of everyone's attention. The whispers and curious stares in the congregation made them extremely uneasy, and eventually they chose to leave. Nathan spoke with several parishioners after the service, not to complain, but to thank them for their support. He comes across as strong and dignified, which contrasts with the image one might expect of a victim. On Monday, Nathan's revenge strategy entered a new phase. Private investigator Sarah Chun brings more shocking revelations. "Mr. Caldwell, we have found some additional information that you may want to know," Sarah said in Nathan's office. "Mike Davidson has been looking for new job opportunities in recent months, and he has started moving some assets to offshore accounts." Nathan frowned. "What does that mean?" "This suggests they may have been planning some form of exit strategy. Perhaps they anticipated the possibility of exposure and have been preparing for it." Sarah came up with a detailed report. "We also found that Mike had consulted with a divorce attorney several times in the past 6 months, although he did not have a marriage to dissolve at that time. It may indicate that he is preparing for your divorce from Rachel." The discovery makes Nathan realize that he's not just dealing with a long-standing deception, but a carefully planned scheme. Not only did Mike and Rachel betray him, they were planning how to end the scam while minimizing their own losses. "Another thing," Sarah continued, "is that we found out that Rachel has been consulting privately with a therapist for the past few months, specifically about how to deal with complicated family situations. We also found that she researched a great deal of information about California divorce law, especially the sections on property division and alimony." Nathan's anger reaches new heights. Not only did they cheat on him for 25 years, they were planning how to maximize their profits in the divorce. "It's not an impulsive betrayal, it's a cold business calculation. I need you to investigate deeper." Nathan told Sarah, "I want to know every detail of their plan. If they want to play that game, I'll show them what real strategy means." Nathan also asked Sarah to investigate Mike's company finances. If Mike has been using company resources for personal matters, there may be additional violations. That same day, Nathan received a call from attorney David with an update on the legal front. "Nathan, I was contacted by Rachel's attorney, Margaret Foster. She wants to schedule a consultative meeting to discuss the terms of the divorce." "What does she want?" "Standard stuff. She asked for a division of the couple's joint property, including real estate, investments, and company shares. She also seeks long-term alimony, claiming that Rachel sacrificed her career advancement to support her family during the marriage." Nathan sneered. "What did she sacrifice? Did she sacrifice time with her real boyfriend to pretend to love me?" "Nathan, I understand your anger, but we need to deal with this strategically. I suggest we prepare a counterproposal that uses the evidence of fraud we have to minimize her demands." "No, David. I don't want to minimize her demands. I want to completely destroy them." The only thing I'm going to make sure she gets is humiliation and poverty. David explains the legal limitations, but Nathan insists on the most aggressive tactics. They decided to not only use the evidence of fraud, but also to investigate whether Rachel had engaged in other forms of misconduct during the marriage. On Tuesday, Nathan began his most devastating attack against Mike's career. Nathan knows that reputation is the most valuable asset in the investment banking industry. Once the trust of clients and colleagues is lost, a banker's career is over. Nathan began by contacting some of Mike's key clients. These people are also Nathan's partners in construction projects, so these conversations seem to be natural business discussions. David, I need to share some information with you that may affect our future collaboration. Nathan told real estate developer David Chun. Yes, Nathan. I recently found out that someone I have always trusted has serious issues with personal integrity. The man is Mike Davidson, and I thought you might recognize him. Instead of detailing Mike's personal scandal, Nathan focuses on the professional implications. My concern is whether someone who exhibits such deception in his personal life can be trusted in professional decision-making. David Chun is a shrewd businessman who immediately understood Nathan's implication. In an industry that relies on trust and reliability, issues of personal character can seriously affect professional relationships. Nathan had a similar conversation with several other key business contacts. He never directly asked them to stop working with Mike, but he made sure they were informed and let them come to their own conclusions. Next, Nathan took more direct action. He discovers that Mike has been using the company's conference room for personal meetings for the past few years, including a secret meeting with Rachel. While this may seem trivial, it constitutes improper use of company resources under company policy. Nathan accidentally communicated this information to Mike's senior management through a common business contact. The message was delivered as a worried watch, expressing concern that Mike might bring personal issues into the workplace. On Wednesday, Nathan received a text from Connor. Dad, I need to meet with you. There's something you need to know. Nathan hesitated, then replied, I don't think we have anything to talk about. Connor replied, 10 minutes, please. I have some information about Mom and Mike that you might want to know. This piqued Nathan's interest. Maybe Connor is finally ready to be on the right side of the fence. Nathan agreed to meet at a neutral location, a downtown coffee shop. When Nathan arrives at the coffee shop, he sees that Connor is already there waiting for him. Connor looks haggard, with deep guilt in his eyes. Dad, I know you hate us, I understand. Connor spoke up, but I need to tell you something that even Emily and Sophia don't know. Nathan didn't say anything, waiting for Connor to continue. Mom and Mike's relationship is more complicated than you think. They're not just lovers. They've been planning some form of future. Mike promised to take care of all of us after you found out the truth, including financially. Nathan frowned. That I already know. But what you don't realize is that they've been planning what to do with you too. Connor continues. Mom has been gathering information about you, your business activities, your finances, and even your personal habits. She passed that information on to Mike, and they've been looking for ways they can use it against you. What do you mean? They're worried that if you find out the truth, you'll try to get revenge. So they're always looking for possible weaknesses or offenses you can use to fight back if necessary. Nathan felt a chill of anger. Not only had they betrayed him, they were making plans for how to destroy him. What else? Nathan asked. Mike has been convincing Mom that you've been engaging in some business misconduct. He alleges that you committed safety violations or financial misconduct on certain construction projects. Mom has been looking for evidence of these. Nathan knows these allegations are unfounded. His company has an impeccable track record and all financial and security procedures are fully compliant. But he realizes that Mike and Rachel may be trying to create false evidence or twist the facts against him. Why are you telling me this? Nathan asked Connor. Because I realize this goes beyond simple family issues. Connor replied. It became a conspiracy and I didn't want to be a part of it. I know we hurt you. I know we don't deserve your forgiveness. But I don't want to be part of a plot to try and destroy you. Nathan scrutinized Connor's face for signs of deception. But Connor seemed sincere, and his guilt and fear seem real. I need you to do something, Nathan said. I need you to help me get more information about their program. Connor hesitated, then nodded. I'll try, but I need to be careful. I don't know what they'll do if they find out I'm helping you. On Thursday, Nathan took preemptive action based on information provided by Connor. If Mike and Rachel have been looking for information to use against him, then Nathan needs to make sure that all of his affairs are airtight. He contacted the company's legal department and requested a full compliance review of all current and past projects. I need to make sure that all of our documents and procedures are perfect, Nathan told the company's legal counsel, Jennifer Walsh. I expect there will be some malicious scrutiny or allegations in the near future. Jennifer is an experienced corporate attorney who understands Nathan's concerns. Nathan, based on what I know about the company, our compliance record is impeccable, but it's always wise to conduct a preventive review. Nathan also takes preventive measures at the individual level. He hired a company that specializes in corporate security to review his personal and professional communications to make sure there was nothing that could be misinterpreted or maliciously distorted. Meanwhile, Nathan embarks on his most aggressive course of action, public humiliation. On Friday night, Nathan decides to attend a social event he wouldn't normally attend, the annual dinner of the local Chamber of Commerce. He knew that Rachel and Mike would be attending the event as well, and they couldn't avoid it because it was important to their social standing. Nathan prepared well for this appearance. He looked confident and dignified in his best tuxedo. When he arrived at the hotel ballroom, he noticed many eyes turned to him. Apparently, their story has spread in local elite circles. Nathan didn't avoid the stares. Instead, he initiated conversations with people. He was calm and collected, even pleasant, in contrast to the victim image one might expect. When Rachel and Mike arrive, the contrast becomes even more pronounced. They look tense and uneasy, visibly disturbed by the attention around them. They looked rattled whenever anyone looked at them. Nathan deliberately walks near their table, but doesn't talk to them directly. Instead, he engages in pleasant conversation with other guests in the neighborhood about business and community matters. His composure and confidence contrasted with Rachel and Mike's unease, a contrast that did not escape the notice of those present. At one point during the dinner, the chamber president invited Nathan to speak briefly, as he is a valued community member and generous donor. Nathan accepted the invitation. "Friends," Nathan said as he stood at the podium, "thank you for coming tonight. The last few days have been challenging times for me, and I've learned some important lessons about honesty, trust, and true friendship." He paused and scanned the room. "I would like to thank those who have supported me through difficult times and those who have treated me with honesty and integrity. In business and in life, these qualities are priceless." Nathan doesn't mention Rachel or Mike directly, but his message is clear. Everyone in the room understood what he was saying and who he was referring to. "I look forward to continuing to contribute to our community and working with those who share these values. Thanks." Nathan's speech was met with loud applause. As he returned to his seat, he noticed that Rachel and Mike looked extremely uncomfortable. Their social humiliation is complete and public. On Saturday, Nathan received the final report of Sarah Chen's investigation. This report contains enough information to destroy Mike's career and Rachel's social standing. The report revealed that Mike had violated company policy on numerous occasions over the past 5 years, including using company resources for personal matters and disclosing customer information to unauthorized persons. While these infractions, standing alone, may not have been sufficient to warrant termination, when combined with his personal character issues, they constituted a compelling case that he was unfit to work in a high-trust position. The report also found that Rachel had been posting content on social media over the past few years that suggested she was unhappy with her marriage, as well as posting numerous photos of secret meetings with Mike, although they were discreetly labeled as friend hangouts. Most importantly, the report confirmed the information Connor had provided, that Mike and Rachel had indeed been planning how to maximize their interests in the divorce and had been looking for information they could use against Nathan. On Sunday, Nathan began his final assault. He first contacted Mike's Human Resources Department and provided with information about Mike's possible conflict of interest and character issues as a concerned friend. Nathan didn't lie or exaggerate. He simply provided the facts and left it up to the company to decide what to do with the information. Next, Nathan contacted several local media outlets to offer exclusive interviews about his situation. He is not looking for sympathy or support, but simply wants to make sure the public knows the truth. In an interview with a local news station, Nathan came across as calm and dignified. "I want to clear up some misconceptions," he said. "Some people may think I'm overreacting or vindictive, but I would like to emphasize that my actions are based solely on facts and evidence." When a person realizes that his entire life has been built on lies, he has the right to take the necessary steps to protect his interests and dignity. Over the next few weeks, the consequences began to show. Mike first lost several important clients who decided to look for other investment advisors after hearing reports of his character issues. As he loses clients, Mike's position in the company becomes increasingly precarious. The company's internal investigation uncovered a number of violations on Mike's part, not enough to constitute a crime, but enough to result in serious disciplinary action. Combined with the damage to his reputation and loss of clients, Mike was eventually forced to resign voluntarily. After losing his job, Mike faced serious financial difficulties. His upscale lifestyle requires a steady, high income to maintain, and now he finds it nearly impossible to find new job opportunities. Negative rumors about him spread so quickly in the financial industry that no company was willing to take the risk of hiring him. Rachel's situation is equally difficult. After losing Nathan's financial support, she found herself unable to maintain her previous standard of living. She tried to restart her career as a nurse, but a gap of more than 20 years made this extremely difficult. To make matters worse, news of her personal scandal spread to potential employers due to the close-knit nature of the local medical community. Nathan's strategy proved successful during the divorce proceedings. Using evidence of fraud, evidence of concealed assets, and evidence of Rachel's involvement in a conspiracy against Nathan, Attorney David was able to successfully secure a deal that was extremely favorable to Nathan. Rachel was ultimately awarded only the minimum alimony required by law, and for a strictly limited period of 5 years. She lost any rights to the main residence and was only allowed to keep a few personal belongings. More importantly, she is prohibited from making additional claims to any of Nathan's assets in the future. Nathan also managed to amend his will to exclude Emily, Connor, and Sophia completely. Although the children tried to legally challenge the decision, DNA evidence and evidence of their involvement in the deception made their case hopeless. What's ironic is the situation of the children. Suddenly, they lose Nathan, who has been their breadwinner, and Mike, due to his own financial problems, is unable to provide the standard of living they are used to. Emily's newlywed life is strained by financial pressures. She and Jason are forced to cancel their honeymoon and move into a smaller apartment. Emily tries to ask Nathan for help, but is firmly rejected. Connor had to postpone his plans for graduate school and look for full-time work to support himself. He made several attempts to reach out to Nathan in hopes of repairing their relationship, but Nathan's response was always cold and firm. "Mike is your father. Let him take on the responsibilities of fatherhood." Sophia's situation is the most difficult. She was forced to drop out of Stanford because the tuition couldn't be paid. She tried to apply for grants and loans, but due to her parents' previous income levels, she did not qualify for most aid programs. She eventually transferred to a state university and needed to work part-time to pay for her living expenses. 6 months later, Nathan sits in his new office overlooking the Los Angeles skyline. His company flourished because it was free from the chaos of his personal life. Without the financial burden of his family, he was able to devote more resources to the expansion of his company. Caldwell Construction has signed 3 major new projects, including a $200 million commercial complex. Nathan's net worth actually increased as a result of the divorce because he retained almost all of his business assets and avoided the burden of long-term alimony. Nathan moved into a modern condo on the beach worth $3 million. The apartment is more luxurious and modern than his previous family home, designed exactly to his personal taste. On a Friday night while Nathan was enjoying a scotch in his new home, he received a text message from Connor. "Dad, Mom is sick and she needs help. We don't know what to do." Nathan looked at the text message and then deleted it without replying. A few days later, Nathan learns from his private investigator that Rachel has been diagnosed with depression and is unable to receive proper treatment because she cannot afford medical care. Mike is also facing serious health problems, partly due to unemployment and financial stress. Nathan didn't feel sympathetic. Instead, he felt a profound sense of fulfillment. This is not cruelty or malice, but justice. They chose deception and betrayal, and now they must bear the consequences of those choices. A year later, Nathan's revenge has been fully realized. Rachel and Mike's relationship also breaks down due to the stress. When the dream becomes reality, they realize that they don't love each other as much as they thought they did. Without the excitement of secrets and passion, their relationship becomes flat and painful. Mike eventually moves to another state to try to start his life over, but his reputation issues follow him. Rachel lives alone in a small apartment and subsists on respite care work. The children occasionally tried to contact Nathan, but their efforts were always politely but firmly rejected. Nathan has moved on, building new relationships and friendships that are based on honesty and mutual respect. While drinking coffee in his beach condo one Saturday morning, Nathan came across an article in the business section of the Los Angeles Times. The article is titled "Caldwell Construction Announces Record Annual Earnings." The article details the success of the company and Nathan's leadership as CEO. The article also mentions Nathan's personal resilience and how he maintains professional excellence in the face of personal challenges. Nathan didn't read the whole article. He set the paper aside and walked out onto the balcony, watching the waves of the Pacific Ocean. His cell phone rang. It was a new business partner inviting him to a project meeting the following week. Nathan accepted the invitation and then went back to enjoying his coffee. He didn't look back and had no regrets. Betrayal has its price, and Nathan Caldwell made sure that price was fully paid. In the distance, a yacht was sailing toward the horizon, and Nathan watched it disappear into the sunlight. He thought about the future, about new projects, new opportunities, new relationships. All of this will be based on truth and honesty. Nathan's revenge is complete, but more importantly, so is his reconstruction. He regained control of his life, redefined the meaning of success, and reestablished trustworthy relationships. On that quiet Saturday morning, as the sun rose higher and the waves lapped against the shore, Nathan Caldwell knew he had won not just a war of vengeance, but a war of dignity, justice, and truth. That's the end of today's story. For more captivating tales, hit subscribe and never miss an episode.